Good morning. Welcome to my sewing room. I'm Ann Dale, and we're here in sunny Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Got an action-packed demonstration for you guys today. We're going to talk tools, most specifically pressing tools. And it is my sewing room, not my quilting room, but a lot of people do buy their quilt products here from us. Hey, good morning, Ruth. So we're going to talk about so many different tools, but let me catch up first before I forget. We have our new owners classes for Berninas and Bernettes starting September 10 and 11. Brother embroidery classes September 26th. Bernina embroidery September 27th. Sergers October 1 and 2. And this one I'm most excited about. The Kimberbell Gingerbread Christmas instructor sample has arrived. So you'll get an update on that next week as I finish up that sample, getting it ready for class. But you'll have a in-store opportunity to see the projects, and they're awesome. You're going to love them. Now, let's take a look at some of what I've got here. Whew. Hot topic. Well, here we have somewhat messy cabinet here, but we're going to talk about so many different things. First, I wanted to share with you a little bit of history. This is a sleeve roll. This is a pressing ham. Now, both of these are mine, and I made them when I was 14 years old. It was part of our fashion class, sewing and design. So the inside of this is sawdust, hard packed into a very tight muslin, and then that's wrapped, wetted, shrunk, packed more sawdust in there, and sleeve roll, the same. A long tube packed with sawdust, wetted, steamed with a cotton canvas, shrinking it so that this is firm and tight, then putting a wool cover over it. So a little bit of history. These are mine. These days we carry these. Looks a little bit different. There's a canvas back, and it looks like a wool plaid, but it isn't. It's a cotton. And pressing ham. Dressmaker's ham is what the packaging says, but sleeve and a ham. And so this ham's a wee bit smaller than mine, and this sleeve roll is a little bit smaller than mine, but it performs the same jobs, and I'm going to walk you through some of what that looks like. Let me just deposit some of this out of our way. Okay, so if we had a shirt, say, obviously, sleeve roll. What you want to do there is when you have something you don't want to press flat, and when you're on an ironing board and you have sleeves like this, they quite often folded and press this way. Now, we don't want this crease there in a lot of shirts. It's not a look that I like. So for pressing this, you're going to get that up in the sleeve. If you happen to have a crease there from packing, washing, having it flat in the closet, then you would just press that line out. When you're in construction, the underarm seam, and maybe you want to press those open. That's often what we did. You would press those open. There's also this little gizmo. It says, they call it a point presser. There's places you can't quite get in, and even you can pull this up, and maybe you can't quite get up in the crest here, and you can press. Actually, pre-finishing, when you have your collar and you want to, let me move that so you can actually see the collar. So you want to press this point, you would pull that on here in this way so that you could press this seam, and you could flip it, and then you could press this seam. So the collar itself would be pulled up on the point here, and you'd be able to get nice presses. Whether you want this pressed flat or open, it's always nice to press it open first and then to get it. Now, our next favorite thing is, say I've got this all steamy and pressed, but I really want a good crisp press in there. I hit that with the iron, and you know, the bottom of this is a clapper. So what we do is it's called the clapper because you hear that noise a lot, but you would press that down on there and let it sit, and as this crease cools, and if you were using steam dries, the weight of this and the wood will absorb the moisture and get that nice and pointy, good and flat. Our other is this one, Taylor's clapper. It doesn't have the point presser on it. Might be a little easier for some. And these days, a lot of us are doing those tiled embroidery scenes, and the seams are quite thick and pretty exciting to get that wall hanging flat. Iron, steam, clapper. And if that isn't enough for you, this is amazing. Flatter. It's a spray, and I'm gonna show you that in a moment. That will help. So on shaped things, and we're making more and more shaped things in quilting as well, it's nice to get things pressed lovely. The ham itself, it helps. This top has some darts in it, and it's hard to get this pressed nice and flat because there's shape in here. And where the darts, and maybe you want to press the dart flat after you've sewn it out, you've got something curved, not unlike the human form, lumps, bumps, shapes, the ham. Now, if you're trying to press something, and you know, back in the day, you would have, sometimes I'd have the ham in my hand, and you'd get the thing you want on it, and maybe, you know, you're holding and rolling to get awkward places, you run the risk of burning your hand. So there's a ham holder, and with all of the different angles here, you can get this here. You could use that edge then for pressing interesting curves and shapes. Maybe you want to get around the arm side here. You can get that curve going and use the ham holder. Sorry, the black was not the best choice, but it's hard to see the edges, but there they are. You can see how it's quite small. Just this is on the ham. So this is for somebody who's learning to do some amazing clothing, sewing, or interesting shape pieces. So those are some of the tools there. Some of the alternates at the moment. This one is called an iron finger. This blue piece is not subject to melting, even though it looks like blue rubber. And same, you can put that into little spaces and nooks and crannies. It's got a nice little round end here, a little flat paddle here, and it will operate like a mini sleeve roll. So this one or this one. In our Tuffet class, we use some of these tools because we're working with a shaped item. Very handy to have. And a lot of people aren't really aware. If you didn't come up through the world of clothing like I did, you might be unaware of all these fabulous tools and most likely don't own them. The mat on the bottom here, this is one that we sell a kit to make your own pressing mat. The bonus to this is you can press into it, protects what's underneath it. Same with the wool mats, which come in amazing sizes. The only thing, if you're using steam, the moisture leaches through to the back. So make sure you're not on something that the moisture is going to have a negative impact on your table. Certainly not your fancy dining room table. Now, got these mini ironing boards. This one's just called a mini board, but sometimes it would have been when you lift up this stand here, it will almost function as a sleeve board. You'll be able to pull something thin like a sleeve onto it. You'll be able to get in and press a yoke like is on the back of this shirt. You'll be able to work on seams that sometimes you can't work on a flat surface, a larger flat surface like the pressing mat or a traditional ironing board. And a lot of people don't have traditional ironing boards anymore, pardon me. And we have so many things like wool, like this mat. We have this OESD press cloth. It's a nice fluffy fiber, and when you have an embroidery, this card, I've just embroidered it, and it's a little hard to see on camera, but there's a little bit of wobble in it. And what I would do is, could press it on the wool mat. If you're an embroiderer, you probably have one of these press cloths. You put the fuzzy side, put your embroidery face down into it. No steam when you're ironing something like paper, but you can iron paper flat again. And there was a little distortion, so I'm just going to give that some heat. And I know where it was the most distorted, and in that area is where I would put the clapper. And the clapper takes away the heat and helps set a firm press. There's a great movie, I believe it's called The Outfit. It's a 1940-50 era mob movie, but the majority of it takes place in a tailor shop, and he's quite often using the clapper. Now, the key to a lot of pressing, and people hate this, but it's very helpful. Don't move things till they're cool. So this is almost cool. The clapper helps take some of the heat out. If this was fabric and we were using steam, it would also help dry it quicker. But, ooh, nice. Yeah, that little wobble I had going because this design was a bit intense, it's gone. So this card is now nice and flat, ready to send for Christmas. So just a little sidebar. The freebie OESD promotion is the Christmas card designs. They will be available September 1st. I'm going to sneak out a preview of some of the choices. I love this one. And there's a few in the slightly smaller size. They're A6 and A7. OESD has pre-cut cards, comes with envelopes. So most of these I have used felt on them. A lot of antique white, which shows nicely against the white card. Just inside the card, I have left the skew for which color felt. The yellow was super sweet, buttercup. But it was the perfect color for the vintage vibe on these cards. So anyway, the free design is available September 1st online or in store with a OESD purchase of $59. If you're in the United States, that's $59 US. If you're in Canada and coming into the store here, it's 59 Canadian dollars. So yay, Merry Christmas. Come and get your stuff. Okay, so back to pressing. So sometimes after a bit, the tops of these wool mats get sometimes a little bit pilled. There's a beautiful tool here. It's a wool mat cleaning tool, and you just run that on the mat and it helps peel off the lumps and little pills that happen to form. And it's a lovely thing to have. We still have a few of the super large OESD press mat. It's 24 by 60. So if you want to cover an ironing board or something larger, we have that available. The other one is a bit smaller. I'm not sure it says. Let's take a little guess. It looks square. It's about 18 inches square, I think, without an actual number on it. And I'm not gonna measure it right now. But the wool mat, just for your knowledge, this is a 13.5-inch square one. The one I was using originally, it was 8-inch, and in my new block month videos for the wonderful Wonderfill bird watching quilt, that's wool, it's the perfect size for the block. And sometimes wool distorts when you're stitching it, so I've put my block down on here, steamed it, and re-squared it, so also known as blocking. Then we have sort of travel ones. This is a cutting mat on one side and a pressing mat on the other side. So it's an all-in-one to take maybe to retreats or classes, or just to have handy by where you sit. The mats get a lot bigger. That one is 17 inches square, so getting bigger and bigger. And I actually have on order some new sizes, even larger than that, if that's what you might need. Now the mat that's in our studio all the time, here we go. So the instructions are in here. The 10 test fiberboard, also used in construction as soundproofing. Untreated, you don't want all those chemicals in your ironing space. The fleece cover, the poly cover, and a cotton cover without too much color in it. This has got lovely scissors on it, which would be a nice addition to your sewing room. But we have those kits for purchase, so you can make your own. I have, in my studio at home, I have big ones, bigger than that, and I have smaller than that as well, depending on what I'm up to. Something else I want to share with you. This might have been the entire reason for this video. The new arrival of the Tula Pink Aliso iron. Now I'll just set that one down there. So, Tula Pink edition. We have not too many, just a few in the store. But if you wanted to have, you know, kind of an exciting iron, because irons aren't truly exciting, but it's beautiful sole plate, heat-proof mat, so you can set that on. And then if you're traveling or retreating, you can get this carefully back on there and transport it home while it's still warm. Not hot, but warm. You don't want to burn yourself. Now, let's talk about some of the other pieces that are made for better pressing. All right, so I have with me this shabby bit of batik that has some things going on that you'll run into in your lifetime. You can see this end here is super wrinkled. And to press it out, and you're going to go at it with the iron. And some of it's going to come out because that was just a crumple. But on the bolt, there's some very serious creases here, and they don't want to come out. And sometimes the center fold that you get when these are double folded on the bolt, they don't want to come out. So there's a couple things. We have flatter, which we talked about. We have Mary Ellen's Best Press starch, and the starch comes in this size, refill size, and even gallon, like huge size. I have the huge size at home. For those of you suffering with repetitive stress syndrome things, pumping this, you know, that's a little much for some of us, especially if you have a huge area. But that's the size of thing you tend to take to retreat. Or this size, bigger pump, still a lot of finger action happening there. But I have this. So this bottle was empty and plain, and I did a scan and cut sticky vinyl to customize this bottle so that you know it's mine in a class situation. Now I'm going to spray this, and let's see. Yep, I'll go this way first. One squeeze gives you a continuous spray for quite some time. So now the piece of fabric here, I've got quite a bit on there. If I want more, see, one spray did that entire length, which is 24 inches. And now in that bottle for me is starch. And how you get some wrinkles out is with starch. However, it does crisp up the fabric, and if that's not conducive to your project, this is where flatter comes in. It adds no thickness, starch body to the piece of fabric at all, but it does take those wrinkles out, and what it does is it relaxes the fiber without leaving any stiffness behind. And the key to all of these, again, is to let it cool. No one wants to wait, but let it cool. And if, for any reason, you are looking for a super crease, flatter or starch, let's do a starch. And you need a good crease. So you would put that in, and this is where the copper would come in, or the The larger one. Or both. Because we're always in a hurry, right? Pretty cool. And now I have a nice knife edge sharp crease on there. And then, you know, maybe I want flat again. But you can really see where I just pressed that, because batik takes a good press. So again, let that sit in. If it's important to you that you get full, you actually will pick that up and squeeze the starch into the fibers. You don't want to spray and then quickly iron, because sometimes the starch is riding on the surface, and all you're going to do is evaporate it with the iron. It's not actually going to help your fabric at all. Ooh, nice and flat. And there was a while there I was calling starch the duct tape of the sewing world, because it solves a lot of problems. It helps certain fabrics not fray, takes all the creases and wrinkles out of it, gives it a little more body when you're stitching with it or embroidering with it. It's your first line of defense in embroidery, is to have that cotton base starched. Okay, then in the world of pressing, back in the day, you might have had a perfect press mitt. This is one of those ones you can put your hand in and then iron or steam vertically. Maybe you've got some new drapes hanging up and they're a little wrinkled. You put your hand in here, put it behind, and take a good steam iron and go. There's a lot to be said for steam. One of the other products that functions a lot like starch and flatter is this Acorn Precision. We might have to do an entire segment on this, because there's a lot of things that you can do with this that you might find super exciting in your sewing room. So more to come. We also have a lot of Grandma's Secret products. Grandma's Secret products, well, this is a wrinkle remover, and it has the added benefit of removing some odors. So this one, you can hang a garment, spray it, give a little pull to the fabric, and then it will smooth away the wrinkles. So for those of you maybe without an iron or hate ironing, that's a solution. The Mary Ellen's Best Press, we tend to carry mostly in unscented. Flatter comes in unscented, but it also comes in lovely, subtle, sweet, nice fragrances. This one's called Lacy. It's subtle and just kind of nice, and fig. And there's many more we have out there. Okay. The Easy Press 10 Essentials. Again, they're in the realm of our ironing products. We'll talk more about them. I think they deserve a whole segment of their own. And, you know, every now and then the iron gets grubby. You're going to need maybe a hot iron cleaner. There's a lot of those out there. It's something to keep in your room. Then when you're working with different things, cotton press cloth. There are some fibers that might get a sheen on it if you're going too hard, or if there's a seam underneath, you kind of press in the shadow press cloth. And so essentially you put that on top of your fabric and then press. And I grew up with those as well. If you need steam and you have a dry iron or a leaky iron and you don't want to use that, you soak cotton press cloth down with water and iron it dry on your item, and that steams out more wrinkles or steams in creases that you might want. Then these are little micro adhesive press cloths. If you're ironing fussy little sticky bits, they're helpful. Then these, it's called the applique pressing sheet. It isn't for pressing clothes or fabric. It's for pressing on top of with fusible webs and things. This keeps it from sticking to your ironing board when you work on top of these. It all peels straight up clean. And I think that was a fast minute, a hot minute. So there you go. All things pressing that you might find here at my sewing room, and sometimes even more. We've got a nice selection of irons coming in for Christmas. If somebody would like a fancy new iron in their studio, I have one more iron to share. This one. Let me drop the camera on there again. So, people complain about never having enough steam or water in their iron. This is the water tank. It has a boiler in it, so it's making steam, and that will come out of this beautiful heavy iron here. People always say, oh, I don't want a heavy iron. You do. A heavy iron with a good sole plate, you can move it with one finger. Picking it up is the only time you should worry about the weight, and a heavy iron will do a lot of your work. This is the one we have in class, and this is the one I have at home. It comes with a pads, because this one's not designed to sit on its back end. It's designed to stay down, so you only have to pick it up gently, slightly, a little bit to get it on the stand. It will sit on the top, these little rubber dots here. That's also a heat safe place to put that, or this heat safe mat. And this thing, I leave it on all day long. You have to decompress it at night, but it also steams in the vertical here. So much steam. But yeah, it's a semi-industrial, not for everyone, but I love mine, and I wouldn't be without my reliable. I also have a normal sized iron. These little irons that we have, they also fit inside the embroidery hoop. If you have an embroidery that needs some pressing while you're working, these fit nicely inside your hoops. Quite a bit different in size, of course. And then this one. We call this a palm iron. Fits in the palm of your hand. But here you go. Alrighty. Well, while we're filming this live, it's the eve of a long weekend, Labor Day, so enjoy your holiday if you have the time off. And remember, OESD starts September 1st, and happy pressing. We will see you pretty soon. Remember, don't burn yourself. And we will talk soon. Thank you for those of you who joined us on YouTube. Please leave us some comments. We appreciate that. And do like, subscribe, and share content. It's the best thing you could do for your friends.